So Jeff called his two mates, and they both had motorbikes. So he jumped from one, I jumped from the other. We drove back to the border, swapped some US dollars for some Kenyan shillings. We went to some pretty ramshackle-looking spare parts shops, but they had some fake Toyota bolts that we used to fix up the tires with. And then we drove through to the next town, and that's where we camped. And Raj was the owner of the campsite, and his sidekicks were Eagle and Ash. It's not small Ash, this is DELPHI Ash. And he, Raj was kind enough to actually had a workshop, he had a big textile factory there, had a workshop, and he took our car there, and his mechanic worked on our car for half a day, fixed it up, he drove me around town, got all the right spare parts we needed. There's another example of how generous people are of their time and effort. From Kenya, we went into Tanzania, which is famous for Serengeti and the Ngorongoro crater, which is where this is. It's a collapsed caldera, it's a volcano that's actually collapsed. It's got a mini ecosystem in there. It's got the largest concentration of lions in the world. So we saw, I think, 32 within 3 hours of driving through there, which was quite something. And from there we went to Zanzibar, which most people have heard of. There's a huge Arabic influence along the east coast of Africa, and the Manis were the most prevalent Arabic influence in the area. The Sultan of Oman in the 1840s actually set up his capital in Zanzibar, so it's a beautiful culture and heritage there. This is like the fish market in Zanzibar. This is a guy making his sugarcane juice for us. This is the shipbuilding yard we went past. It's amazing to see all the different influences. Like on the east coast of Africa, there's a lot of Indian influence. So a lot of the foods are like African, but with curries as well. So it's really interesting to see. And then obviously the dawahs are very Arabic. That was some beautiful sunsets. And one of the stories that when we were driving through Tanzania, along really good roads. I think USA has pumped a lot of money into. One of the benefits of traveling through Africa is lots of good beer left over from colonial times. So one of the only benefits of colonial water, Africa, I guess. It's driving through Africa, through Tanzania, these long roads, and these buses we were doing 120, and these buses used to come past us, screaming past us, and it must be pretty scary being a passenger on one of those. And the next campsite we stopped at, this guy said he's actually driving along through a mountainous area. This bus overtook him, and just proceeded to go off the cliff, off the precipice. That's okay. And you see, you're driving, you see quite a few skeletons of buses on the gorges below. And one of the locals told us a story where they had a national disaster where I think about 100 people died on a bus trip, on a bus accident like that. The Minister of Transport helicoptered into the crash site, stepped out of the helicopter, had a heart attack. So the whole country, the government was convinced that witchcraft is quite a big thing in Africa, so they thought there was some witchcraft going on here. So they closed this road down for a week. This is the main road out of the capital city, and until they had witch doctors and things come and cure the road, and bad luck. And they said it took about 3 or 4 days just for the backlog of trucks that came out the port to actually be able to get through there. From there we went to Malawi. Malawi, it's borders Lake Malawi, so the whole it's very, very clear lake, and it's got thousands of called cichlids, tiny little beautiful coloured fish that I don't know if you can see in the pictures. That's not me, it's my dad. That's the campsite we stayed at. It's quite an idyllic place. I guess what struck us most about Malawi, Malawi is just obviously the simple beauty of it all. It's just probably the most poor country we've been to. We went to. But I guess the people are obviously so friendly and happy in what they've got as well. It was amazing to see. But each time someone said, "Hey, we live in South Africa," they'd say, "Can you take us back with you and employ us there?" And we're like, "Well, sorry, we can't do that." But it's sad to see how our country with so many resources is actually not doing much with itself. Pretty much the last country we went to was Mozambique, which was a Portuguese colony. So driving along, you see a lot of these old churches in the middle of nowhere, just standing there, which is quite weird. And we started off in the north of Mozambique. And from this campsite we had here, we wanted to go to a place called Eagle Island, which used to be a Portuguese holiday resort type area. So the guy at the campsite said, go and speak to John at the backpackers. He's been there, the head there. So I went to spoke to John, and he said, if you take the main road back out, the first dirt trail on your right, go down, turn right there, and you'll go through about 120 concrete storm drains. You'll get to a small village with a lighthouse there, turn left there, go for another 10 k's, you go around the big bay, and then I don't know if you saw there was, there was a baobab tree. So this big baobab tree there. Stop there and speak to Mustafa. He's got that enclosure, he'll look after your car for you. So stop there, spoke to Mustafa, and then this guy here, Captain Smiley, came up to me while he was there. He said, I'm Captain Smiley, do you need a trip across to Eagle Island? I was like, cool, take us across. So you got there, and this, well, the last picture, there's silversmiths there, so lots of shipwrecks in the area, so these guys pick up silver coins and they wash into the sand, and they make silver jewelry, so obviously Camilla was very excited about that. And you can see all the, I felt it was weird, it was like walking along some old movie set. It's all these beautiful old holiday houses, and this is the town archives, and there's still all these archives from the 1940s and 50s just sitting there. This is going up north a bit later, up to places, plenty of seafood. We just sat there and people, all these fishing groups, it's a fishing village, all the fishermen say, just come and say, what do you want? Do you want this? Do you want this? There's like $1 a kg of crab. So say no. This is Ilha de Mozambique. It was the Portuguese capital of Mozambique while the Portuguese were there. It's like quite a big, I haven't been to Portugal, but I guess it's quite a big architectural influence on there. And that's, Vincent de Gama was Portuguese, wasn't it? Vasco da Gama, the statue of Vasco da Gama. And this church here is actually the oldest building in the southern hemisphere, built in 1652. It's quite amazing to see how far back colonial roots actually were in Mozambique. We met a really friendly French couple who ran the restaurant at the guest house we stayed at on the island, and they had a little dhow. So they took us out diving on some shipwrecks. Lots of shipwrecks around there as well. And this was, I guess, typical in Africa. Like they make a plan no matter what happens, and that's means of transporting animals. You can see the goats on the top of the bus there. You can see people with pigs over their bicycles and chickens on the top of buses. It's quite, I guess, for animal rights activists out there going through that. Like you have to just be aware that it's not quite up your alley. And then, yeah, we then went to Maputo, which was, I guess, the Monte Carlo of Africa back in the 60s and 70s. Beautiful old promenades and buildings. So if you go back a photo there, you can see like a idyllic promenade going across the bay. This was the lonely policewoman on her little pedestal, controlling traffic. It's just a peak of one of the idiosyncratic pieces of Africa that you see wherever you go. I guess in terms of what we got out of the trip, like we just found it very humbling to travel through all these different countries and just see, I guess, coming from a materialistic Western type world of South Africa, is to see how little people had and how happy they actually were with what they had. And just the beauty and the simplicity of Africa. It's a very timeless continent. There's not much progress happens there, but I guess that's great, and that's, there's lots there that's still as it was 40, 50 years ago. So it was really beautiful. And just the people, and the people of Africa just are generally warm and welcoming, and I think if you take the time to, I guess any country you go to, like Ash was alluding to earlier, take the time to understand people, understand their culture, and just everywhere you go, just make an effort to speak to people, give them a smile when you say hello, and especially the policeman. It's all good. Yeah, that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.